Mm, okay. Yesterday we saw about the goals and a little bit of key objectives or frameworks of Secops team, or what Secops profile entails. Okay. Today let's go over some common responsibilities. These are just what do you call just the theory part, probably something that you would be asked during your um interview maybe, but otherwise nothing such. Okay. Another thing that this comes into place during compliance meetings or audits. What are the things? So I've seen many people generally ignore this, and then they face legal actions, like literally legal actions. This happened during my time in Wipro. So they send you a mail all across the organization telling you why this person was fired because he failed to um, comply or perform these responsibilities that he had. So this actually happens. It's, you know, don't generally take this seriously, but just have these things in your mind. Okay, when you're in a SecOps role, as a SecOps profession. Okay, so monitoring and responding to security threats, implementing and maintaining security controls and technologies, conducting security assessments and vulnerability scans, developing and implementing security policies and procedures, ensuring compliance with security regulations and standards, providing or overseeing security awareness training to broader organizations, conducting forensic investigations to determine the root cause of security incidents, staying up to date with latest security threats and vulnerabilities, responding to security related inquiries, and requests from other teams and departments. This is more of like a JD. This is more of like your job description of SecOps. Okay. Monitoring and responding to is pretty straightforward. Whatever happens in your organization, you must be aware of it and you must respond to it. Okay. Implementing and security controls. You are the one who has to decide what kind of mm, control you want, what kind of rules you need to have. For example, you are the one who's supposed to decide what firewall rules should be in place, how the data should flow, that a particular company, your company isn't supposed to talk to, for example, Datahog company. Okay? Because probably there is no contract, or probably because there are compliance issues, because these guys use a lot of open software, which causes a lot of malware entry into your environment. So it is your responsibility to implement and maintain a rule stating that this is not supposed to happen. Conducting security assessment and vulnerability scans is also pretty straightforward, that you have to continuously assess your environment, your company environment security posture. Make sure that you're not using old machines, old versions of applications that everybody has as what do you say, only required access, the RBAC role part, and so on. Okay. Developing and implementing security policies and procedures. This would more align with the ones that are set internationally. Okay. HIPAA जो अमेरिका का ये होता है, एक सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी होती है. So accordingly you would develop and implement those in your companies. For example, if you have a tie-up with a hospital, that you will maintain the data for the hospital. In that case, you would set up and develop policies which are in line with HIPAA policies. Okay? This is the same thing, ensuring compliance with regulatory security regulations. Okay. Security um, regulations. So compliance and security are different terms. Compliance is how that rule should be implemented. Security is like, suppose this is the firewall rule, but compliance would be that up to what extent, up to what magnitude, up to how it should be done. ठीक है. Providing overseas security awareness training, again pretty straightforward. जो companies में फिशिंग ट्रेनिंग होती है, ईमेल फिशिंग, वो वाली करानी है. ठीक है. Conducting forensic investigations to determine root cause of security incidents. So once you come across a security incident, so it is your responsibility कि कैसे हुआ, क्या हुआ, how did the person enter the environment, what kind of command lines did he use, are you aware of this file, what are the contents of this file, Python scripts, Java scripts, ये सारी आनी चाहिए, so that you can know what kind of code he used to enter. ठीक है. You must be aware of malware signatures, at least a few key, to determine that what all the person hacked. ठीक है. You need to be aware of how the data flows in your environment. ठीक है. बाहर से कौन से IP से आता है, to what gateway it comes, which firewall, there are many firewalls, which one is the one that allowed it, what rule allowed it. Okay, all these things need to be determined. Staying up to date with latest security threats, again, it's pretty straightforward that you need to be up to date with whatever is going on. There are multiple ways you can follow news. You can do your own self-studying, or follow all the researchers who are there online. Okay? Responding to security related inquiries and requests from other teams and departments. Next. So this is an overview of the threat landscape and trends. This shows you why nowadays this Secops is on the rise, why people are giving it so much importance. Okay, so as you can see, the survey was done by McKinsey and Company. So the situation right now from a couple of years is that, I mean, you must have seen the news that many big companies are firing employees, and there are not much jobs, hiring has stopped. So, but the only field that is still continuously hiring or there is job creation is the cloud operations. Obviously, there are many parts in it. There is infrastructure, network, and so on. But SecOps is also a part of that cloud operations domain, cloud operations field. And, you know, the threats have created a lot of okay. Where was I? Yeah. So because of these rising threats, they have created a lot of job opportunities, and the cloud operations is the only what do you say, domain of a company that is on the rise. Okay, I'm sure you all follow the news and are pretty aware of the situation. Okay, let's quickly go through this. So as you can see, $101 billion is projected by 2025. That's just 1 year ahead. Okay, 15% annual increase of cost related to cybercrime. 85% of small and mid-sized enterprise intend to increase IT spending until 2023. So it's not just the big players, it is probably everyone, government as well, non-government organizations, NGOs, and small IT businesses, as well as other businesses like manufacturing, civil, constructions, and so on. Okay. 3.5 million cybersecurity positions are open worldwide, like I said. So there is hiring freeze for almost all the other departments, and if not freeze, it is very less hiring done. Many major players are already firing employees, but cloud operations is the only domain where hiring is on the rise. Okay, 21% forecast of compounded annual growth for direct cyber insurance premiums. I guess this falls under this insurance domain. If anyone is into, has shifted from finance, he must be knowing what this is about. Okay, so there are overall 3 points or overviews that are related to this uh, landscape. Okay, one is on-demand access to ubiquitous data and information platforms is growing. So, like I said before, that many companies are gathering a lot of data, right? Like from your financial transactions to social media views and, like, your electricity consumption. So because obviously they want to sell their business to you. So what this does is this creates a lot of valuable data to be stolen, to be breached, and you know um, to hack you guys. It's not just the for the good purposes of selling the business, but also to scam or create a fraud. So this obviously creates a lot of problems, and that is why it needs to be taken care of. So many recent high profile attacks exploited the expanded data access. The expanded data access is the one that I just told you, that companies literally are gathering everything, every information that they can, just so that they can predict what will you buy in future, how will you buy, how much you will buy, and accordingly they can design their products. Okay. An example would be the Sunburst hack in 2020 entailed malicious code spread to customers during regular software updates. So that is why it is very important for how you update your software. Another example was one of the guys from a companies. He just went online and said Chrome update and clicked on the very first link that he got, and the malware entered through it. Okay. So it started collecting all the cookie data and whatever he was going on websites and doing. So he was kind of capturing all the keystrokes and what do you say, uh, screen data and everything. Okay, so unless and until the link is verified, it is officially from Google's page or your company gives you the link. Okay, do not just randomly search and update softwares. Another attack, similarly in 2020, used compromised credentials from a top hotel chain's third-party application to access more than 5 million guest records. So in this attack, what happened? There a physically a person went there to the hotel. He knew that there was a event going on for the company. So this person physically went there, went to the reception, and got the employee credentials, and that was it. He got the employee credentials, he logged in and started hacking the company. It is very, what do you say, critical. We always focus on the online security, but physical security needs to be kept in mind as well. Obviously, it was the fault of the hotel reception and the employee over there. But again, the expanded data access can be gathered from anywhere. Okay. Next, hackers are using AI, machine learning, and other technologies to launch increasingly sophisticated attacks. Again, pretty straightforward statement. So, a stereotypical hacker working alone is no longer the main threat. Today, cyber hacking is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. So, the way we have upgraded our सिक्योरिटी पैरामीटर्स, ठीक है, जैसे हमारे फायरवॉल्स इम्प्रूव हो रहे हैं, हमारे एंटीवायरसेस इम्प्रूव हो रहे हैं, वैसे ही द हैकर्स नीड टू कम अप विद समथिंग टू ओवरकम देम, राइट? एंड दैट इज व्हाई, since it has become more difficult, it is no longer a one man job. It is more of like a team. The most famous of the teams would be anonymous group. So they have a Twitter account, and I don't think, I am not sure if they do, but yeah, you can literally follow a hacking group. Okay, their name is anonymous. They carry out attacks in groups. It is no longer a, what do you say, one man job, because our security tools have gotten much stronger and better. Okay. So what this does is that um, because of it, if an attack used to take weeks before, now it's going to take days because of AI. And the reason being is that it can change its attacks, right? And one of the example was Emotet, an advanced form of malware targeting banks, can change the nature of its attacks. So what it means that it might use a certain way to get into the network to hack a particular account. And once it is inside the network, it changes its nature, it changes its code, it changes the file name, it changes the way it executes its files, right? So for example, like I said yesterday, that what an antivirus does it matches the code, it matches the signature to understand that this is a particular malware. Like I said कि you can put rules कि अगर तुमको कंप्यूटर में एनवायरनमेंट में कहीं भी abc.exe एग्जीक्यूटेबल फाइल दिखे तो उसे ब्लॉक कर देना. But what if this, due to this AI, this changing nature, यूजर क्या करता है, somehow he got credentials किसी के, ठीक है, he enters into their कंप्यूटर, he gets to know कि abc.exe अगर फाइल नेम हो तो वो ब्लॉक करता है. So he changes the file name and he makes it something new. Now the antivirus needs some time to check the code, to probably maybe क्या कहते हैं, explode it in a sandbox. By explode I mean execute it in a sandbox, learn about it, and then, but by the time attack has already happened. Okay, so this way, once he's in the network, he can go through the antivirus rules, ठीक है, और उसको check करके he can change the nature of it attacks. The file can change the contents of it, ठीक है, and it can change the code in runtime so that it does not get detected. Okay. In 2020, leveraging advanced AI and machine learning technique to increase its effectiveness is used it used an automated process to send out contextualized phishing emails that hijacked other email threads, some linked to COVID-19 communications. So in this attack, what it did, it changed the nature of its emails, probably changed the email ID, probably the subject line, maybe what was in the content, as in the body, कि उसका ये क्या है. तो जैसे जैसे सपोज एक तुम्हारे पास टूल हो या फिर एक कोई टीम हो जो ईमेल्स एनालाइज करती हो. सो लेट्स से कि मैंने ये किया ऑफर limited.com समथिंग. सो इट्स लाइक ये वाला ये ईमेल आईडी मलिशियस है, फिशिंग ईमेल है, इससे आया तो you should block. But what if the next email that comes from some other email ID? It literally changed its nature during the second email. Now now it's kind of a new email, तो उसको वो consider करता है false positive है, फिर probably it lets 10 such emails come in and then देख लेंगे कि ये malicious है कि नहीं है. So it takes time for these, um, even people, even as a human, you, the first thing is you wouldn't block it, right? You would need some time to analyze it. So by the time you analyze or come to a conclusion, the email has changed its nature. Okay? And to do that, they are using AI and machine learning. The way your antivirus systems or what do you call endpoint security tools are learning about this threat, the same way the AI is learning about your security tools and changing its nature. Okay? So what another thing that these capabilities or technologies are making it possible is that it is making ransomware and phishing more prevalent. ठीक है. आजकल ऐसा होने लगा है कि you can go on the dark web and buy ransomware as a service. Okay, you can literally just, you don't have to create your own ransomware, you can buy it as a service and just mm, keep on attacking people or sending them on emails and so on. Okay. Another reason why they have become more prevalent is because आजकल payment cryptocurrencies में होता है, because the wallet is not trackable, the transactions are not centralized, they are verified by normal people like you and me. That's how those people earn bitcoins and cryptocurrencies. So what happens is the ransomware is collected in cryptocurrencies and it is not trackable. So it is more easy to continuously keep on attacking, to continuously send on ransomwares phishing emails and just gather your money. Okay, it's, as you can see, its cost of launching ransomware has reduced, and because of which its number has doubled since 2019. Okay, even phishing attacks have increased almost like 400 500% in during COVID time, during January to February 2020. Okay, these are just the statistics or land what I'm saying, trends of attacks. Okay. Next, ever-growing regulatory landscape and continued gaps in resources, knowledge, and talent will outpace cybersecurity. So one of the best and recent examples would be Europe implemented this USB-C type charger on iPhone, and they had to change. But what iPhone did was they were like, no, 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 we'll just reduce the speed with which iPhones get charged, and they changed something in the pin, and they just did their business. So like it was in compliance with the rule all over Europe, but still it wasn't. And now there is a gap. This is the gap it talks about, and continued gaps in resources, knowledge, and talent. So now what is happens is you have to come up with again new ways to make sure that this is not exploited. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. I don't know how this would be exploited, but this happens in software as well, right? This happens in products as well, that government says something needs to be done in certain way, and just for business purposes they find a loophole and it goes on. So it's just a back and forth thing. Key. So now you have to cover this as well in your security. You have to be compliant with government as well. You have to make sure how are you going to do that. Otherwise, there is again, you know how the process goes. Okay. So cyber risk management has not kept pace with the proliferation of digital and analytics transformations, and many companies are not sure how to identify and manage digital risks. So, like I said, this is also a big problem that companies do not know how to identify and manage digital risk, which is why this domain and field is hiring uh, a lot nowadays. Okay, because they need to figure out how they need to be secure and as well as be in compliance with the government rules. क्योंकि government तो बोल देगी कि USB charger चाहिए कल से, but you need to have the resources and manufacturing and infrastructure and finance and compliance, legal, everything for it, right? Apple is a big company, they do have it, but what about the small companies, right? So they need to identify and manage their digital risk. Compounding the challenge, regulators are increasing their guidance of corporate cybersecurity capabilities. Okay. At the same time, companies face stiffer compliance requirements, a result of growing privacy concerns and high-profile breaches. Okay. There are approximately 100 cross-border data flow regulations. Again, the way America collects data and the way Europe collects data is very different. So, जो अमेरिका में चलता है नॉट नेसेसरीली यूरोप में चलता है, तो उसकी वजह से अलग से एक टीम बनाओ, उसके प्राइवेसी लर्न करो, कंट्रोल्स बनाओ, पासवर्ड्स चेक करो, फाइल्स चेक करो, कहाँ स्टोर होता है, कैसे स्टोर होता है, डेटा एक कंपनी से दूसरे कंपनी में कैसे जाता है, ये सब चेक करना पड़ता है. दिस ऑल कम्स अंडर द compliance part. ठीक है. Another thing is that it is the talent in this section is not keeping pace with the things that are being coming up. Okay, with the tools कह लो, technologies कह लो, या फिर rules and regulations भी कह लो, because many people don't know this, so they have to learn once they come into job, right? That is why there is a gap, and क्या कहते हैं, there is an talent will outpace cyber security. ठीक है. Next thing. There is another क्या कहते हैं, survey. Yes, okay. another survey result, ठीक है, exponential increase in numbers and types of cyber threats. I'm sure you know it already. Tickets on the rise. I've said it before. Spending has increased, as you can see. See, spending focused on attack or post-attack period 40 to 70 and pre-attack period. So pre-attack is the one जो पेन टेस्टिंग का होगा. पेन टेस्टिंग का मतलब रेड टीम से है. The people who go out front and look out for threats and then come in and secure us. This is post attack, as in attack होने के बाद how am I supposed to protect my organization. I have to make sure that this does not affect the entire organization. जिस कंप्यूटर को affect हुआ है वहीं तक ठीक है. So as you can see, spending का ट्रेंड देखो 60 to 30 ये कम हुआ है. The reason being because it is difficult. ठीक है. तो you need very highly skilled people. ठीक है, सबके बस की बात नहीं है ये करना. But it is easier on the other hand to do a post attack analysis. That is why its spending has gone from 40 to 70. That is why there is a what do you say, this difference in spending, because it's more like कितना ही प्री अटैक का ये कर लोगे. हाउ डू यू नो विच ऑफ जब तुम बाहर डार्क वेब में जाते हो टू फाइंड आउट थ्रेट्स, लेट्स से यू फाइंड 100 थ्रेट्स, हाउ डू यू नो विच वन इज गोइंग टू अटैक यू, राइट? एंड यू कैन नॉट put on what do you say, parameters and security for all the 100. You have to pick and choose कि इतना पैसा टूल्स नहीं है, टेक्नोलॉजीज नहीं है, पैसा नहीं है. सो आउट ऑफ दोस 100 आई कैन प्रोबेबली कवर 50. But what if the attack comes from the rest of the 50 that you did not cover, right? So it is very difficult to determine ki which of the attacks and how many and what kind of things you need to implement or so. So that is why there is a little less spending and more on the post attack period ki they are more of like कि ठीक है अटैक होने दो बाद में देखा जाएगा. ठीक है, let the person come in, we will handle this threat once the person is in our environment. ठीक है. सिक्योरिटी प्रोडक्ट्स डिलीवर्ड वाया क्लाउड, ये तो प्रीटी सिंपल. अभी अपना amazon AWS माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एजर और गूगल का GCP गूगल क्लाउड ये प्रोडक्ट जो भी है वो सब राइज पे. ठीक है, वो 60% हो गए. अब तो छोटे छोटे थर्ड पार्टीज भी अपने खुद के होने लगे. वो लोकल क्लाउड सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करते हैं. via those cloud services they provide you security. ठीक है, this is on the rise and this will go on until it becomes 100%. There's no doubt about it. It's not no longer things are going to be on premise. Everything is going to shift on cloud. In coming 2 to 3 years, this will probably reach to 100%. This was in 2020. It's 4 years since. It's probably till 80% by now. Okay. So regarding this, what are the क्या कहते हैं overview or things that are related to this survey? So these are responses to trend one. This is the first trend. Then we'll talk about the second trend and so on. Third trend. So first trend, I'll go through it again. Exponential increase in number and types of cyber threats. So it's gone to 120 millions in the year 2020, and this goes on increasing. Okay. So how do you mitigate it, or what is the first thing that you would do? What is the first line of defense? So it's a zero trust capability and large data sets for security purposes. So zero trust architecture is your main line of defense. Okay. What does it do? So it shifts the focus of cyber defense away from static parameters around physical networks and towards users, assets, and resources, thus mitigating the risk from decentralized data. Okay, access is more granular. Again, the example that you saw that I showed you yesterday, that I was able to see a VM. Okay, I was able to see its overview. I was able to see its properties. I was able to see its activity. I was able to see its networking. But for some reason, not some reason, because of the policies enforced, I was not able to see its disk space. Okay. तो ऐसी कुछ चीज, तो एक्सेस ग्रैन्युलर हो जाता है, ठीक है। नॉट एवरीथिंग इज गिवन टू द यूजर और द एडमिन और द पर्सन हु इज अ सिक्योरिटी पर्सन और जो भी है, ठीक है। जितना एक्सेस चाहिए उतना ही दिया जाएगा, ठीक है। और ग्रैन्युलर इसको कैसे कर सकते हैं, फॉर आवर्स। तो एक फीचर है कि यू कैन गेट एक्सेस टू दिस पर्टिकुलर रिसोर्स फॉर 2 आवर्स, 3 आवर्स, 4 आवर्स, 8 इज द मैक्सिमम। तो दिन में सिर्फ 8 घंटे ही तुम्हें इस रिसोर्स को एक्सेस मिलेगा। ऑल दिस कैन बी डन थ्रू अ जीरो ट्रस्ट आर्किटेक्चर, ठीक है। आर बैक रोल्स उसमें इज अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस जीरो ट्रस्ट आर्किटेक्चर। सो जीरो ट्रस्ट मींस बेसिकली ट्रस्ट नो वन। अगर तुम्हारा कंपनी का एम्प्लॉय है तो उसे भी ट्रस्ट मत करो, ठीक है। उसे भी एक्सेस उतना ही दो जितना उसको चाहिए, फॉर सम टाइम दो, क्यों चाहिए, क्या चाहिए, क्वेश्चनिंग करो, उसका डेटा फ्लो देखो, नेटवर्क देखो, एवरीथिंग। सो जीरो ट्रस्ट इज forget trusting the outside people. You don't even trust your people who are inside the network, ठीक है। You check everything. You don't trust the users who are inside the network. You don't trust the assets that are inside the network, and you don't trust the resources that are inside the network, ठीक है। Assets, computers, servers, resources would be applications or monitoring, data monitoring servers, or whatever resource there is in your environment, ठीक है। Behavior analysis, sorry, analytics. So employees are a key vulnerability for organizations. Okay, remember this sentence, that employee is the weakest link in an attack, ठीक है। Firewalls, antiviruses, endpoint security tools, anything security related is always stronger than an employee, ठीक है। So the weakest link in a cyber security attack is always going to be a human. It is always going to be an employee. The first um, like अगर मुझे अटैक करना होगा, the first thing I will be going after is an employee and not some software or a tool, ठीक है। So employees are a key vulnerability for organizations. Analytic solutions can monitor attributes such as access requests for health of devices, establish a baseline to identify anomalous intention or unintentional user behavior or device activity. These tools can only enable risk-based authentication and authorize, but also orchestrate preventive and incident response measures. So behavior analytics is, it will understand my behavior. It will understand that every day at 9:15, Yashraj takes a lecture. Okay. He uses his credentials, he comes on the link and he accesses. But for example, if I shift my lecture to 2:15 like I did yesterday, ठीक है, so this is out of behavior, ठीक है, this is out of pattern. So immediately एक alert raise होता है कि hey, this has happened in your organization, प्लीज चेक इट, गो अहेड। सो ऐसे रिस्क चेक होते हैं, ऐसे रूल सेटअप होते हैं। अगेन आईपी, तो मुझे हर बार एक आईपी आता है। अगर कल मैं जाके स्टारबक्स से लेक्चर लेने लगा तो मेरा आईपी चेंज हो जाएगा। अगेन दिस इज अ बिहेवियर चेंज, दिस इज आउट ऑफ द नॉर्मल, दिस इज आउट ऑफ पैटर्न, उसमें भी एक अलर्ट रेज होगा, ठीक है। इट डिपेंड्स ऑन हाउ यू सेट। तुम्हारी मर्जी है तुम्हें किस पे सेट करना है, तुम्हें टाइम बेस सेट करना है, तुम्हें क्रेडेंशियल बेस सेट करना है, तुम्हें आईपी बेस सेट करना है, या फिर एवरीथिंग इंक्लूड करना है। सो बेस्ड ऑन दोस क्या कहते हैं पॉलिसीज और रूल्स यू सेट, the software will analyze the behavior, it will look for patterns and let you know accordingly. Then you investigate कि ऐसा सच में हुआ था क्या, क्यों हुआ था, what was the device ID, was it known, unknown, is the device managed, compliant, what was the Wi-Fi used, ठीक है, bandwidth, ये वो, all of it can be checked in it. Next, elastic log monitoring for large data sets. Elastic log monitoring is a solution based on several open source platforms that, when combined, allow companies to pull log data from anywhere in the organization into a single location, ठीक है। See the wording, into a single location. Pull log data from anywhere in the organization to a single location. अगर इन okay, अगर इन शॉर्ट बोला जाए तो दिस इज व्हाट एन SIM tool is for. This is what an SIM tool would do. तो वो सिंगल लोकेशन जहां ये पुल करेगा इज द SIM टूल जो हमने कल देखा था. Splunk and Sentinel is where that data would come. ठीक है. So company, it will pull data from anywhere in the organization and put it in a single location. Where is that location? That location is the Microsoft Sentinel application or Splunk application. ठीक है. To search, analyze and visualize data in real time. Like I said, कि how you view it is your skill. Your role in this, your skill in this is how you investigate it using this tool. ठीक है. ऐसे तो डेटा बहुत रहेगा, एक्सट्रीमली. देयर आर लाइक 30,000 40,000 लॉग्स एंड डेटा पॉइंट्स. सो योर स्किल ओवर हियर इज हाउ यू फाइंड आउट इन सब में कि एक कोई यूजर ऐसा है जो वहां नहीं होना चाहिए था, एक कोई कनेक्शन इज गोइंग आउटसाइड द एनवायरनमेंट जो वहां नहीं होना चाहिए था. ठीक है. दैट इज वेयर योर स्किल सेट कम्स इनटू प्लेस. Okay. Native log sampling features in core tools can ease an organization's log management burden and clarify potential compromise. Okay. Homo Homomorphic encryption, right? This technology allows users to work with encrypted data without first decrypting it, and thus gives third party and internal collaborators safer access to large data set. It also helps companies more stringent data privacy requirements. Recent breakthroughs in computational capacity and performance can make homomorphic encryption practical for wider range of applications. This is on me. This is not for you. I need to search more and explain it to you. I'll do it in the next lecture. But in short, to give you an idea is, I mean, it's pretty simple in the first um, line itself, that it allows you to work with encrypted data without first decrypting it. So what it would do, it wouldn't give you a direct decryption of the data itself. Okay. So what it would take into consideration is the metadata. So like say, for example, it's a what do you say, a source code. Okay. Somebody has written a source code and you need to make sure that it is safe. So it wouldn't give you the entire code as it is encrypted. क्या कहते हैं, डिक्रिप्ट करके देगा. You won't be able to see the code, but it will give you the metadata of it. ठीक है. It would probably give you who wrote the code. It would probably give you the file size, where the file is stored, where the file is supposed to go, what application is supposed to use that file. ठीक है. Another meta, like whatever secondary data comes with it. ठीक है. कि उसने इस फाइल ने रजिस्ट्री कीज चेंज की है क्या. रजिस्ट्री की इज समथिंग दैट योर कंप्यूटर लुक्स एट फॉर एग्जीक्यूशन. ठीक है. इसकी परमिशंस क्या है. ठीक है. अगर ये मैंने फाइल एग्जीक्यूट कर दी तो ये इंटरनेट को कनेक्ट करती है क्या. Does it open any other applications in the background? So this is not inside the file, or I mean, it would be written in the code, but it would, what you would, when you decrypt, you won't be able to decrypt it. You won't be able to see the line. You won't be able to see print hello. You won't be able to see out whatever. ठीक है. तुम्हें ये बाकी का डेटा मेटा डेटा में दिख जाएगा कि क्या करता है. You will be able to see कि if it opens any background applications or not. So you're not decrypting the file itself, but you're looking at the metadata in order to determine कि ये फाइल सही है कि नहीं. ठीक है. सो व्हाट हैपेंस, दिस गिव्स थर्ड पार्टीज एंड इंटरनल कोलैबोरेटर सेफर एक्सेस. तो मान लो कि तुमने किसी रिसर्चर को या फिर थर्ड पार्टी को कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दिया है कि मेक श्योर दैट दिस इज गुड. सो ही डजंट गेट एक्सेस टू योर source code, right? He checks the metadata and then performs accordingly. Again, even if he executes this in a sandbox, he won't be able to see the result. He would be able to see all these other things that this file would do. Okay. The actual content or the actual result won't be visible to that person. That is what homomorphic encryption does. Okay. Next, response to trend 2. What was the trend 2? This spending on cyber security. Okay. Spending on pre-attack 60 to 30, spending on post-attack 40 to 70. Yeah. using automation to combat increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks. जिस तरह AI is used by attackers to change the nature of attacks and hack, similarly, we as researchers or investigators or क्या कहते हैं, Secops are using AI to battle this trend out, to fight with them, right? So automation implemented through a risk-based approach. Critically, automation decisions should be based on risk assessment and segmentation to ensure that additional vulnerabilities are not inadvertently created. For example, organizations can apply automated patching configuration and software upgrades to lower risk assets, but use more direct oversights on high risk ones. So configurations, patching, software upgrades, ये automate हो सकता है, but something like an investigation, like IP based or domain based, cannot be automated क्योंकि हर रोज कोई नया IP आएगा, हर रोज कोई नया domain आएगा. There are so many domains that are registered every day, and you don't know to whom it is going to connect. ठीक है? This is another reason why even after AI and machine learning and all these things, a cyber, you will always need cyber security people. Okay, the you cannot, the automation extent is not as much as it would be in coding or other parts. ठीक है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में जैसे तुम्हें VMs enable करने हो, असाइन करने हो, so this can be easily automated. तुम्हें एक टेम्पलेट बनानी है एंड बताना है कि मुझे 8 GB रैम चाहिए, मुझे 256 GB SSD चाहिए, ये एप्लीकेशन चाहिए, वो एप्लीकेशन चाहिए, कितने चाहिए, 1000 चाहिए, डन. दैट्स इट. दिस कैन बी ऑटोमेटेड, बट द इन्वेस्टिगेशन पार्ट, रिस्क पार्ट आप कितना ही कर लोगे, राइट? कितना ही ऑटोमेट कर लोगे, यू वुड नीड एन ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन. ठीक है, लाइक आई सेड, आज मैंने लाइक पैटर्न चेंज कर लिया, रोज मैं 9:15 को लेता हूँ, कल को मैंने 2:15 लिया. दिस इज अ लेजिट रीजन. बट अगर इफ दिस वाज ऑटोमेटेड, व्हाट इट विल डू, इट इज इट विल ब्लॉक माय एक्सेस, इट विल ब्लॉक मी फ्रॉम टेकिंग. फिर उसको निकालने के लिए और ज्यादा प्रोसीजर्स, ये वो, पूरा दिन चला जाता है इसमें. ठीक है, सो दिस कैन नॉट बी ऑटोमेटेड. प्रॉबली दूसरा कुछ ऑटोमेटेड, लाइक मेरा कंप्यूटर का पैचिंग या फिर कॉन्फ़िगरेशन चेंजेस, दैट कैन बी ऑटोमेटेड. सो देयर इज अ लिमिटेड scope of automation in this type of field. Probably one of the reasons why there is still job opportunities in uh, these Secops based roles. Okay, so another way of implementing automation, like I said, would be through risk based approach, behavioral approach. Risk based approach is कि उसके पास पहले से पता है डेटाबेस है. ठीक है, उसे पता है कि अडोबी का एक पर्टिकुलर पेज क्या कहते हैं, मलेशियस है. सो अडोबी तो मेन वेबसाइट तुम एक्सेस कर लोगे, लेकिन अगर आप फ्यूज या फिर क्या कहते हो, डाउनलोड सेक्शन में जाओगे तो वो एक्सेसिबल नहीं होगा. एंड दिस इज बेस्ड ऑन द रिस्क कि दिस वाज checked last time and this page was risky, so it has been added to the block list and not allowed. ठीक है. That is how an automated would be implemented on the risk based approach. Use of defensive AI and machine learning for cyber security. Again, uses technologies and outlier patterns to detect and remedy non-compliant systems. Teams can also leverage machine learning to optimize workflows and technology stacks so that resources are used in most effective way over time. Okay, so AI and machine learning would be best to observe. Okay, to detect and remediate non-compliant systems. अब non-compliant systems का best example है कि पूरा organization चल रहा है Windows 2019 पे suppose version, and मेरा वाला चल रहा है 2012 पे. So I am non-compliant. So this is done by machine learning कि continuously AI कि they continuously run scans or probably continuously check the versions, OS systems, keep a database. Once the pattern is detected, once a job returns the result, you patch up my system or you टेल मी कि तुम्हें नेटवर्क से निकाल दिया जाएगा, या जल्दी से इसको रेमेडी जस्ट अ मिनट, ओके, रेमेडिएट करो या फिर फिक्स इट. टेक्निकल एंड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन रिस्पॉन्सेज टू ransomware. ठीक है. The technical changes include using resilient data repositories and infrastructures, automated response to malicious encryption, and advanced multi-factor authentication to limit potential impact of an attack, as well as continually addressing cyber hygiene. The operational changes include conducting table tabletop exercise, developing detailed and multi-dimensional playbooks, and preparing for all options and contingencies, including executive response decisions to make the business response automatic. Okay. Resilient data repositories and infrastructure. ठीक है. Data repositories, like I said, a database of known domains, IPs, networks, users, user information, credentials, passwords, etc. Infrastructure is your physical hardware. Okay. The computers that you have, the servers that you have. So anything out of the norm कि ये कंप्यूटर नेम कहाँ से आया, ये तो हमारे डेटाबेस में है ही नहीं. What is computer 567 in the network doing? How is it that he made a क्या कहते हैं login? Even if it is a failure, it is still that somehow he was able to get the IP of your क्या कहते हैं organization's asset. ठीक है. How in an organization everybody uses a private IP, right? So how is it that this person got to know कि ये वाला IP क्या है? How is it that ये private IP बाहर चला गया? जब बाहर जाते वक्त तो public IP जाता है ना. So to figure out कि कौन सा public IP is associated with the private IP is way of hacking, and that his machine was in the infrastructure. ठीक है. So automated response to malicious encryption, again pretty straightforward. Advanced multi-factor authentication to limit the potential impact of an attack. So advanced would be कि तुम्हें जो मोबाइल पे OTP आता है, before that it was captcha, मल्टीफैक्टर ऑथेंटिकेशन, और समथिंग जो तुम्हारे पास उसी डिवाइस में आता है, राइट. Nowadays the advanced part is that it goes to a different device, so to make sure कि वो डिवाइस तुम्हारे पास ही है, या फिर तुम एक जगह पे हो. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि तुम्हारा पूरा का पूरा डिवाइस ही गया हुआ है एंड यू कीप giving multi-factor authentications to the same device. What if it is stolen, right? It doesn't make sense. ठीक है. So you give one to your phone, so assuming कि not both of your devices are stolen, assuming कि एक ही चुराया गया है, या फिर there is a compromise in the device which makes it more secure कि ठीक है इसको अलाउ नहीं करना है because you haven't got the token, authentication token. ठीक है. Cyber hygiene is nothing but again being up to date. Okay. Keeping your antivirus up to date, keeping your OS up to date, keeping your application versions up to date, keeping your passwords up to date, and so on. What are tabletop exercises? I will take in next lecture. Okay. Okay. Response to 10.3, embedding security in technology capabilities to address ever-growing regulatory scrutiny and resource gaps. Like I said, कि सब कुछ cloud पे होने वाला है, and there are regulatory gaps. Okay. By regulatory and resource gaps, again, go back to the example of Apple chargers. Okay. There is a gap between the government and what the business is saying. Regulation gap hai, and so is resource gap. Now resource gap क्यों? Because you need to find people who can mediate between the two. First thing, then finance, then legal, then security. Ki whatever is being introduced is secure or not, how much secure, what is the scope of security, what are the vulnerabilities, how it can be hacked वगैरह, क्योंकि सभी आएगा इसमें. You need to do pen testing. Then after pen testing, you need to do checking कि अगर होता है तो कैसे check करना. You need to figure out how it happened. You need to figure out to what extent it can happen. You need to give a report to the regulations. Okay, you need to give a report to the regulatory that so and so was done. Then they have to again come up with laws. Then they have to put in क्या कहते हैं, they have to put in controls. The controls की so and so password होना चाहिए, so and so method होना चाहिए, so and so क्या कहते हैं डेटा कलेक्शन मेथड होनी चाहिए, या फिर इसको ओरेकल डेटाबेस में मत रखो, इसको एसक्यूएल डेटाबेस में रखो. So now you need people who are good in SQL. ठीक है, and that is how there are regulatory and resource gaps, and that's what we need to address for this 10.3 trend 3, because everything is going to go on cloud. ठीक है, it is just 100% cloud होने वाला है. Okay, secure software development. Rather than treating cybersecurity as an afterthought, companies should embed it in the design of software from inception. One important way to create a secure software development lifecycle is to have security and technology risk teams engage with developers throughout each stage of development. So this is pretty new. ठीक है, पहले से नहीं होता था. Nowadays, this has led to the birth of AppSec. ठीक है, application security, domain, field, roles and technologies. ठीक है, so instead of कि बाद में इस थ्रेड को हम एक्सेस करेंगे, जब सॉफ्टवेयर बना रहे हैं, ठीक है, जब कोड डाल रहे हैं, तभी इसे रिजॉल्व करना है. ठीक है, सो कोड ही ऐसे बनाओ कि वो सिक्योर रहे. ठीक है, यू आई एम प्रीटी श्योर you must have heard about SAST and that dynamic evaluator जो कोड को रियल टाइम में करेगा और जो स्टैटिकली इवैल्यूएट करेगा. ठीक है, स्कैन करेगा कि इफ द टूल विल गिव यू that this line of code is not secure, or this particular hard coding should not be done, and so on and so forth. ठीक है, so जब सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलप कर रहे हो तभी ये चीजें तुम्हें वो टूल बता देगा और वो स्कैन्स बता देंगे. सो दिस इज व्हाट सॉफ्टवेयर सिक्योर सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट इज. Okay. Next is taking advantage of X as a service. So cloud providers not only handle many routine security patching and maintenance activities, but also offer automation capabilities and scalable services. It can be important to diversify partners strategically to limit exposure to performance or availability issues. Okay. Cloud providers ये तो handle करते ही हैं security patching and maintenance, but also automation and scalable services. Like I gave you an example, you give a template of an infrastructure and you tell them you want 1,000 VMs, they will be provided to you. ठीक है, again diversify partners strategically. ये तो business side of the game हो गया कि how do you want to get in the business for the cloud. Okay, infrastructure and security as code. Standardize and codifying infrastructure and control engineering processes can simplify the management on hybrid and multi-cloud environments and increase the system's resilience. This approach enables processes such as orchestrated patching as well as rapid provisioning and deprovisioning. So infrastructure and security as a code, जैसे ransomware and phishing as a service था, वैसे infrastructure and security as a service as a code है. ठीक है, so you don't need to develop the code as an organization, but it will be provided to you by the cloud. ठीक है, and the security part when doing so will be taken care of by the cloud. ठीक है, you don't need to download VMware application and create your own VM and make sure कि वो secure हो. ठीक है, what you have to do is go to Microsoft Azure and tell them that you need so and so VM. Now, what this does is, first of all, since it is cloud based, so the database of security is large. So the क्या कहते हैं, malware signatures and patching and version control is global. ठीक है, is high level and it's a lot of data points present over there. ठीक है, so the your security posture increases significantly. Second thing, अगर कुछ होता भी है तो you can provision and deprovision query quickly. Your 1,000 machines, let's say there is infection in 500, you can immediately deprovision them. You can immediately shift the data, valuable data from those 500 to the remaining 500. ठीक है, and all this is controlled by the cloud. You don't have to, अगर तुम VMware लेते हो और ऐसा तुम्हारे पास था तो तुम्हें वन बाय वन करना पड़ता है, या फिर यू हैव टू मेक श्योर कि व्हाट काइंड ऑफ डेटा यू आर ट्रांसफरिंग, कि वो डेटा इन्फेक्टेड नहीं है कि नहीं है. द advantage of security as a code is that this cloud will do it for you. It the matching, like I said, जैसे antivirus match करता है वैसे the cloud will have matched it for you and it will only transfer data or patch up your machines accordingly. So it will only transfer data that is not infected. ठीक है, it will patch the machines immediately as soon as you deprovision या फिर उसको फिर से provision करते हो तो you can offline उसको तुम एंटीवायरस रन करके डेटा निकाल सकते हो. ठीक है, सो दिस इज द एडेड एडवांटेज ऑफ हैविंग इट ऑन क्लाउड. जैसे लाइक आई सेड, जैसे ransomware एज अ सर्विस है वैसे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड सिक्योरिटी एज अ सर्विस है. these are no longer two different things. You don't need two people, एक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वाला बंदा, एक सिक्योरिटी वाला बंदा, दोनों they would sit together and create a VM for you or create a server for you. It's just one cloud, um, automated service, क्या कहते हैं, standardized code to give you a server or to give you a VM जिसमें सारी security provisioning पहले से हो. ठीक है, and again you can have it as much as you want. There can be rapid provisioning, deprovisioning, or the number is however you want. You can be provisioned with 100, 200, 300, whatever number of VMs or servers you want. Okay. Software bill of materials. As compliance requirements grows, organizations can mitigate administrative burden by formally detailing all components and supply chain relationships used in software, like a detailed bill of materials. This documentation would list open source and third-party components in code database through new software development, process scanning tools, industry standards, and supply chain requirements. Helps to ensure that security teams are prepared for regulatory inquiries. It is more of like having a database and used for compliance. ठीक है, इसमें ज़्यादा कुछ तो है नहीं, but for someone who belongs to a SOX compliance background and the ISO वाला जो चीजें होती हैं, it is important for them, but otherwise it's not of much use. ठीक है, तो basically it's more of on the administrative side rather than the and regulatory side rather than the security side. Okay, so you keep a detailed database of what you have, what you don't have, what are the how much up to date you are, and accordingly audit tickets can be uh, identified and remediated. Audit meetings में जब जाओगे तब you are answerable to the government people and the big four जो audits करती हैं, Deloitte, EY, PwC, and so on. And there's one more, I think KPMG, I think. So जब ये लोग audit करने आएंगे तब you have a database and you have everything up to date and you have like a bill of material. So you have bill of resources, you have bill of code, you have bill of applications, you have bill of um, software and hardware stuff. Okay, so this is how it will help you. And why trend 3? Because it is on cloud, right? Somebody needs to audit it. So who does the cloud give it to? Abhi agar Microsoft ka cloud hoga, they themselves wouldn't do it. They will give the contract to Deloitte. Deloitte will come to you and ask you for this stuff. That is when this part comes into picture and how you would um, what do you say, address it. Okay. Let me see if there is anything else for this. So importance, let's say, I'll just skip this part. Okay, you can. I'll give it to you when you in the PPT and you can go through it. So in general, it's just कि जैसे मैंने अभी तक I have been saying. So it's to make sure that your organization is safe and from what you say from business perspective, the importance of cybersecurity operations in organizations is increasing, and that it's very important to keep your data secure. So it's your own valuable data as well as customers. So not letting it getting breached is very important from business perspective. Okay. Next. Policy standards and procedures for cybersecurity. Okay. Mm, yeah. So what is a policy? Uh, A cybersecurity policy is a set of guidelines and rules created by an organization to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of its information, assets, and technology resources. Okay? It serves as a framework that outlines the organization's approach to managing and securing its digital assets, okay, networks, and systems to protect against threats and ensure responsible use of technology within the organization. Like I said, so what would be a policy? HIPAA इज अ पॉलिसी. ठीक है. पेशेंट का डेटा हॉस्पिटल में ही होना चाहिए. इट शुडंट बी ऑन द क्लाउड. पेशेंट का डेटा कौन एक्सेस कर सकता है, कैसे एक्सेस कर सकता है, कितना एक्सेस कर सकता है. सो दिस इज अ पॉलिसी. क्रेडिट कार्ड इंफॉर्मेशन. डू डू आई सेल योर नंबर्स. जो हमें कॉल्स आते हैं, क्रेडिट कार्ड चाहिए क्या, वो चाहिए क्या. दिस देयर शुड बी अ पॉलिसी दैट दीज नंबर्स आर नॉट सपोज टू बी शेयर्ड. ठीक है, बट दे आर. अगर शेयर होते हैं तो obviously there is a क्या कहते हैं cyber security risk, right? You can get call from anything, you can get a message by mistake, you click on a link. So instead of your credit card and not just your number, your CVV, passwords, everything is gone. So that is why a policy is something, a set of guidelines, okay, to ensure that certain things are done in a certain way. Like in the beginning of the lecture, I had given you told you a scenario key. These things are important because people don't take it seriously and then they miss out something and then a legal action is taken. Okay, so ऐसे ही हुआ था कि he didn't know policy में कि this customer isn't supposed to have data या फिर उसका बाहर नहीं जाना चाहिए, and he did, and then an organization wise mail was sent that this person was fired so because of so and so, and that legal action will be taken. Okay, it's not just firing you from the company, but a legal action will also be taken against you. Okay, so these are very serious, and if you are into this field, if you go into this field, make sure you take them seriously. Okay. A cyber security standard is a set of guidelines, best practices, and requirement established to help organizations implement effective cyber security measures. तो एक बार पॉलिसी सेट हो गई तो उस पॉलिसी का स्टैंडर्ड सेट होता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, a password must be of minimum 11 characters. it should have special characters, it should have क्या कहते हैं, capital letters, small letters, it should have numbers and so and so. तो एक पॉलिसी सेट हो गई, अब उस एक पॉलिसी का स्टैंडर्ड सेट हो गया कि ये चीजें ऐसी ही होनी चाहिए। ठीक है, पॉलिसी में कहा गया है कि पेशेंट का डेटा हॉस्पिटल में ही रहना चाहिए। स्टैंडर्ड ये कहता है कि उसे एक ही सर्वर में रखना है, उसे इस पर्टिकुलर सर्वर में रखना है। उस वो जो सर्वर है वो अप टू डेट होना चाहिए, उसमें और कोई एप्लीकेशन नहीं होना चाहिए, सिर्फ और सिर्फ डेटाबेस होना चाहिए। इसका एक्सेस सिर्फ एक पर्टिकुलर मशीन से ही किया जाएगा। सो दिस इज अ स्टैंडर्ड। You set up a policy and then you put up standards in that policy. ठीक है, these standards provide a framework for securing information systems, networks, and data. They can often be deployed by recognized industrial bodies, government agencies, or international organizations. ठीक है, this part over here is like a big four company can come to you and say कि hey, you know, this is supposed to be the standard. ठीक है, या फिर एक गवर्नमेंट आके कह सकती है कि आप कंप्लायंट नहीं हो, प्लीज चेंज इट। No, you cannot keep data on this server, you need to keep it on Linux server, you cannot keep it on Windows server, you need to keep it on a Linux server, so please do so। ठीक है, so that is where these industry bodies, government agencies, and international organizations come into place। ठीक है, another thing for us IT people, the big four is a good example of how this would be set and how the contracts go, how the businesses go। Cybersecurity standards serve as a benchmark that organizations can follow to enhance their security posture। ठीक है, अब certain cyber security standards पहले से होती है। ठीक है, ISO वाला एक स्टैंडर्ड है, देन सो इट्स अ पॉलिसी एंड स्टैंडर्ड एज वेल, क्योंकि उसमें पॉलिसी सेटअप करके स्टैंडर्ड भी बताया गया है कि उसकी क्वालिटी कैसी होनी चाहिए, कितना होना चाहिए। साइबर रिस्क मैनेज करने के लिए भी ये एक अच्छा ही है। सो देयर इज अ कंप्लायंस स्कोर होता है। सो व्हेन वेयर कंप्लायंस स्कोर इज कि तुम कितना रूल्स फॉलो करते हो, तुम कितना पॉलिसी सेट किए हो, कितना स्टैंडर्ड उससे ये किए हो। सो व्हाट इट हेल्प्स इन, if I talk to you about why this is important, is because from the business perspective, like let's say tomorrow you want to launch an IPO of your company, right? The first thing everybody is going to see is ki how compliant are you, how secure are you, आपने कौन सी policies implement की है, कितनी की है, उसका standard क्या रखा है। ठीक है, if it is says so, then the government gives you, हाँ ठीक है, you can launch your IPO, और फिर आप share market में आते हो and this and that। तो again, so these are very important things from business perspective. There are dedicated teams to manage all of this, to set up all of this। Okay, then next would be key character, एक second। Okay, anyway, so key characteristics of cybersecurity standards includes comprehensive guidelines, industry relevance, interpretability, regulatory compliance, continuous improvement। ठीक है, कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव गाइडलाइंस इज नथिंग बट कि कैसे होना चाहिए, क्या होना चाहिए। ठीक है, व्हाट आर द गाइडलाइंस दैट आर सेट। इंडस्ट्री रेलेवेंस इज कि specific to industry relevance, so this is standard। तो हर जगह होता है, like in construction, in civil services also there will be some standards। IT में अपने अपने हैं। ठीक है, like I don't know, I'm just assuming over here कि construction में there needs to be a particular type of cement, there needs to be a particular what क्या है, floor index, you know, जब height calculate करनी हो, so there needs to be a certain industry relevance। अगर IT में कहा जाए तो a company which is in health, a company which is in product design would have very different standards। So Apple has very different standards from an hospital chain। ठीक है, both, but IT is needed by both, right? Both need to have certain standards of data protection, data transfer and everything, but according to the industry relevance, the policy and standard थोड़ा अलग होगा। Even though they are in the same IT field, IT team, they would have IT teams and IT field, it would be डिफरेंट, ठीक है। तो इंडस्ट्री रेलेवेंस वैसे होगा, ठीक है। माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एंड गूगल वुड प्रोबेबली हैव मच मोर क्लोजर, बट अगर मैं सैप देखूं जो एनालिटिक्स वाली, तो उसका माइक्रोसॉफ्ट से अलग होगा। सो डिपेंड्स ऑन द रेलेवेंस, ठीक है। इंटरपोर्टेबिलिटी allows organizations to implement compatible security measures and technologies. ठीक है, it is important in global and interconnected environments. Like I said, अमेरिका और यूरोप के अलग स्टैंडर्ड्स होंगे, अलग गवर्नमेंट रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस होंगे, तो आई नीड टू मेक श्योर कि मेरा जो स्टैंडर्ड है वो दोनों में चलता है, ठीक है। यहाँ भी चलता हूँ, वहां भी चलता हूँ। इट विल बी अ हेडेक टू क्रिएट वन स्टैंडर्ड फॉर ईयर, वन स्टैंडर्ड फॉर देयर। और डेटा जब रोज का रोज ट्रांसफर होता हो, दिन रात ट्रांसफर होता हो, तो I cannot keep up with the standard or make sure कि it is compliant. Regulatory compliance is again by regulations and laws. Okay, continuous improvements. Again, जैसे जैसे टेक्नोलॉजी बढ़ती है, वैसे वैसे you have to improve your policies and standards as well. कल को अगर वायरलेस चार्जिंग आ चुका है, but let's say there is a new technology in wireless charging, कि आई डोंट नो, वट एवर इट कम्स, तो आई नीड टू मेक श्योर कि मेरी जो पॉलिसी एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स है आर अप टू डेट। आई नीड टू चेंज कि नो, यू कैन नॉट यूज 5 GHz, यू नीड टू यूज 3.7 probably, ठीक है। नो, यू कैन नॉट यूज वायरलेस चार्जर्स इन cyber cafes, you need to use them only at home or cars. So these are the things that you need to come up with. जैसे जैसे टेक्नोलॉजी स्टैंडर्ड्स वगैरह आएंगे, वैसे वैसे you need to update your policies and standards. Okay. Procedures. Cybersecurity procedures are detailed step-by-step instructions that organizations create and implement to operationalize their cybersecurity policies and standards. Okay. So ये set up a policy, ठीक है, कि तुम्हें ये चाहिए, वैसा चाहिए। Standard is the magnitude, कि पॉलिसी कहती है कि सारा डेटा हॉस्पिटल के अंदर बेसमेंट में एक सर्वर पे होना चाहिए। स्टैंडर्ड कहता है कि तुम सिर्फ इतने पेशेंट्स का डेटा कलेक्ट कर सकते हो, उसे सिर्फ एक मशीन से एक्सेस किया जाएगा, और उसे सिर्फ हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट एक्सेस करेगा। Now, procedure gives you a step-by-step instructions that the data should flow only from head of department computers. Head of department को access है, but he cannot access it from someone else's computer. The only way or step or instruction, a procedure, is that he needs to go to his desk, and the only main PC is able to access this server and get the data. Okay, so this is a procedure. So a policy is a setup, a standard is the magnitude of that setup, and a procedure is the way this is accessed. A particular thing is accessed, or a particular thing is, the procedure is executed. Okay. While policies and standards provide their overarching framework and guidelines, procedures offer specific on how to carry out tasks, respond to incidents, and manage various एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ साइबर सिक्योरिटी, ठीक है। प्रोसीजर वुड आल्सो टेल यू कि साइबर इसे हैंडल कैसे करना है, कौन सा फायरवॉल बीच में आएगा, कौन सा रूल आएगा। अच्छा, अगर ब्रीच होता है, तो हाउ एम आई सपोज टू टेक केयर ऑफ इट प्रोसीजर में, ठीक है। हाउ एम आई सपोज टू, डू आई नीड टू कट ऑफ द access? Do I need to run an antivirus scan? Do I need to start shifting the data to another server? क्या मैं वहां जाके पिन निकालूं और उसको सर्वर को ऑफलाइन करूं? All this is explained in the procedures. ठीक है, I hope you have got difference between policy, standards and procedures. Standards and procedures are okay, but policies are very important, by the context being here that you need to be aware of it. क्योंकि गलती से हम क्या करते हैं कि when we are working, somebody might say कि dude, I need this data, एक बहुत urgent है, please send it to me, give it to me. You need to be aware of a policy that suppose you're not supposed to do something और आपने कर दिया, तो you will be under legal actions, ठीक है। This, I have seen this happen, so I am emphasizing this policy point, that please be careful and of what your organization policies and policies are, ठीक है। whatever they are set up, एक बार ट्रेनिंग एटलीस्ट कंक्लूजन तो पढ़ लो कि किसे डेटा नहीं देना है ये वगैरह, बिकॉज just getting fired from the organization is not the only क्या कहते हैं consequence. Legal action is taken as well. ठीक है. Then some of what are security policies. ठीक है. I think we'll go to it next time. Wow, there's a lot. Okay. ठीक है. I'll just read them out. Okay, there's not much to explain, based because depends on what policies a particular organization has implemented. That is why I said कि पहले in the start कि this subject is more of an overview of the concepts or ideas, because as you go deeper, it will depend from organization and your role. But overall, if your if a concept or idea is explained to you, this it you're good to go, because it is common to all. It is common to the entire industry. So like I have explained to you what policies are, so you're good to go in any role or organization. And जब उसमें dive in deeper करोगे तो there are particular policies that an organization implements. So again, this is not an exhaustive list. uh, I have given you an idea of 5. There may be 10 that a organization implements. There may be more specific points in those 10s that the organization implements. Okay, let's quickly go through this. So acceptable use policy. So defines acceptable use of organization resources. Okay, outlines the responsibility of users regarding the proper use of technology. Like I said, कि अगर acceptable use of organization resources कि तुम्हें अपना लैपटॉप तुम कंपनी के बाहर लेके नहीं जा सकते हो. Responsibilities is कि प्रॉपर यूज ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी. जस्ट बिकॉज तुम्हें तुम्हारे मैनेजर ने कहा कि ये वाला डेटा इसे भेज दो या फिर अर्जेंट है, डोंट डू दैट प्लीज. there are legal consequences to it. Make sure that you go through the acceptable policy. ठीक है. Information security policy establishes organization's commitment to protecting information assets, defines roles and responsibilities for information security management. So as an analyst, as an investigator, for you roles and responsibilities is not of much use, but surely organization's commitment to protecting data information assets is to be known. ठीक है. You need to know कि डेटा कहाँ रखा जाता है, कैसे ट्रांसफर किया जाता है, किसे दिया जाता है, किसे नहीं दिया जाता है, कौन से रोल से मिलता है नहीं मिलता है. बिकॉज when you are investigating, when an incident occurs, these things are very important. The first thing that you will be asked as an investigator, as a researcher, analyst, or an investigator is that कि how did you get through it? Do you know कि इंफॉर्मेशन कैसे रखी जाती है, कैसे प्रोटेक्ट की जाती है हमारी खुद की और कस्टमर्स की. ठीक है. पासवर्ड पॉलिसी अगेन प्रीटी सिंपल. तुम्हें पता है कि इतने लेंथ का होना चाहिए, कैरेक्टर्स होने चाहिए, नंबर्स होने चाहिए, एंड सो ऑन. एक्सेस कंट्रोल अगेन सबको सब कुछ नहीं दिया जाता. नाउअडेज everybody uses RBAC is role based access policies. ठीक है. सो अगर तुम HR हो तो तुम्हें सिर्फ HR वाला ही डेटा मिलेगा. तुम सिक्योरिटी रिसर्चर हो तो उतना ही मिलेगा. उसमें भी इट कैन गेट ग्रैन्युलर, लाइक आई शोड यू कि इट इज नॉट दैट जस्ट बिकॉज मुझे वो VM का एक्सेस है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि मैं उस सब कुछ ही देख सकता हूँ. उसमें भी I can get into layers, I can get granular, and only certain things I can see or view. ठीक है. तो probably एक VM है, उसमें Google Chrome और Firefox है. ऐसे मैं I can create a policy जिसमें अगर मैं लॉग इन करूं तो I cannot use Firefox. The only thing I have to use is Chrome. Another added advantage is कि जब logs create होंगे तो they know that सारे logs Chrome वाले हैं तो सारे मेरे ही होंगे. ठीक है. And it is much easier to manage those and view those logs. ठीक है? So granular access control policy is another type and advantage. Data classification policy, again, this is something for people who are in compliance role, compliance team, for security researcher, analyst, or um, क्या कहते हैं? Am I missing something? ठीक है, उनके लिए थोड़ा कम है। ठीक है, सेंसिटिव इट इज बेस्ड, डेटा कैसे क्लासिफाई किया जाता है, कैसे रखा जाता है, रेगुलेशंस क्या है, स्टैंडर्ड्स क्या है, दीज आर ऑल अ पार्ट ऑफ डेटा क्लासिफिकेशन पॉलिसीज। ठीक है, प्रिस्क्राइब सिक्योरिटी मेजर्स करस्पॉन्डिंग टू द classification level. So based on उसका classification, securities is determined. Public, confidential, highly confidential, उसके basis पे policy setup होती है, उसके basis पे security measures होती हैं कि public अगर tag रहा तो ठीक है, कहीं भी भेज दो, फर्क नहीं पड़ता। Highly confidential है तो it should not go through this particular firewall, it should not be scanned, it should not leave the network, it should not be connected to the internet, the file should not be transferred anywhere, it should not be um, सेंट ओवर ईमेल, उसे सिर्फ और सिर्फ वन ड्राइव पे 3 लोगों का जिसमें एक्सेस है उसी पे अपलोड किया जाएगा। तो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन व्हाट द सेंसिटिविटी लेवल्स यू पुट ऑन। अगेन दिस इज समथिंग दैट कैन कॉस्ट ट्रबल। ठीक है, अगर आपने हाईली कॉन्फिडेंशियल डेटा फेसबुक इस पे उस पे डाल दिया तो खत्म ही हो जाओगे। ठीक है, लीगल के इसमें बहुत बुरी तरह फंसोगे। अगेन आई हैव सीन दिस हैपन। ठीक है, so be careful about the policies. Make sure you go through them at least once in your organizations. Okay. Security standards, encryption standards. कौन सा एंक्रिप्शन यूज करना है? ठीक है, आरएसए वाला या फिर whatever other encryption standards. ठीक है, उसमें की मैनेजमेंट कैसी चाहिए? आई की वी वन वर्जन 1 यूज करना है, 2 यूज करना है? ऑब्वियसली वी use latest ones, but some are still on the older ones because of legacy systems and softwares. ठीक है, so which kind of key management you want to use? You want to use cloud वाला अपना Microsoft का key vault use करना है कि premises वाला IKE v1 2 whatever you want to use. ठीक है, ensures the confidentiality and integrity of sensitive data. Network security standards outlines configurations of firewalls, routers, intrusion detection prevention systems. Pretty straightforward. Ensures a secure network architecture. So once you set up your firewalls, routers, and what it does is ensures your network architecture. Okay, so this goes through a complete procedure कि किसको access चाहिए, data कहाँ से कहाँ जा रहा है, allowed है नहीं जा रहा है, वो दो systems जो है वो किसको बिलोंग करते हैं, उनके बीच में कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है नहीं है, ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर चेक। सो इट इज नॉट जस्ट कि just because you want it you are given, but an entire procedure is set up between the behind this